Good morning. I've been sitting here for some time debating with myself on what to talk about today. Sometimes I have a really clear knowing of what it is that I'm going to share. That was not the case this morning. There were a few things that were batting around inside of me. And I felt finally, when I made the decision to come a little bit off of the topic we've been talking about lately rather than continuing that in another vein, which I may do at another time. But for right now, I'm going to share from the Paradox January 1999 article that I wrote called Reductionist Spirituality. And it's an interesting article because I think it's what we've done with our lives and how our religions have reduced God to manageable parameters. And I asked the question in the subtitle to the article, if we keep making ourselves smaller and smaller, will we finally be acceptable to the angry, impotent God? I'm going to read the article. I want to comment, but I'm going to resist that and actually comment on the article itself, or actually read the article itself, I should say. What are you talking about, Ron? What angry, impotent God do you refer to? Did you never read the Jonathan Edwards famous sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God? I read it in junior high school. It was in the prose and poetry textbook. I can't remember the words now, but I do recall that he painted a very vivid word picture of sinful humanity being dangled over the flames of hell by a God who was mighty pissed off with our shortcomings. It was a carefully designed, conscious attempt, it seems, by the minister to create righteousness by increasing fear and guilt. Sadly, there are those today who see God in that way and play that game. I call their religion reductionist spirituality. What is reductionist? Of course, the word means one who reduces, that is, a reductionist. Applied to spirituality, it is one who believes that we have developed evil members, appendages of some sort, wicked propensities that make us unacceptable to God. So, those holding such a belief reduce themselves by attempting spiritual surgery on the appendages and denial of the appendages. It is an attempt to become whole, false holiness, by rejecting misunderstood parts and natural life forces. By healing, fulfillment can never work that way. It is impossible. We can never be healed by subtraction, only by fully filling ourselves with love for all that we are and all that we experience. What happens when we try to deny a thought, an emotion, a desire, a need, or any other thing in our human experience? Does not that very thing we try to silence, by either ignoring or denying it, scream all the more loudly? That certainly has been my experience. But why? What's up with this? Why can't we be more in control? Before I answer that last question, let me back up and talk about the impotent God created by reductionist spirituality. An impotent God? Oh, yes. Anytime we subtract from whatever is, we inevitably reduce God to. Remember, God is all and in all. God is everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipotent. What do these theological terms mean? They're pretty highfalutin words. Well, the first part gave the clue, all in all. Without understanding that clue, reductionist spirituality is the only religion that makes sense. This is because we live in a dualistic world. Everything is divided into opposites. Not only are there opposites, but the opposites appear to be in opposition to each other. The polarities are polarized. It is a world in conflict that is the natural result of individual souls in conflict. As within, so without. What we see reflected in our world is the direct result of what we believe is true about ourselves, unconscious though it may be. Most of us are products of, that is, our lives reflect reductionist spirituality. The war in the heavens and the wars on earth are merely the outplay of division in our individual souls, and for a long time, the cosmic oversoul too. That's right, God is the cosmic oversoul. And God was, as it were, divided. The division of God is called creation. Heresy, sacrilege, blasphemy. Okay already, so stone me. But pause for a moment, okay? If God is all and in all, which I believe has to be the only reasonable truth, and we perceive anything that we consider outside of God, then God is no longer all and in all for us. Our reductionist spirituality reduced God, and in that reduction and division, we made God impotent for ourselves. And guess what? That is exactly how God became to us, impotent, just like us. It's not that God is, in reality, divided, but we have made God so. You see, that is the nature of God, malleable. This may sound far-fetched to most, but God conforms to whatever shape we put him or her in, sort of. The universe reflects our beliefs about life to a great extent, even our misbeliefs about God. That seems to me to be the way things work in the real world. But that can't be, you say. It doesn't make sense. Think. Really think. Look at your life. Do not the things you really believe are true show up in your experience? I'm not talking about the things you want to believe are true. Forget about those for a moment. Focus on the things you really believe. Are you conscious enough to do this? I hope so, because if you are, you will see that your true beliefs always manifest. Who is in control? We are. God gave us dominion over the world. I'm adding, at least our experience of it. That means we're in charge, sort of. Remember a while back when I asked, why can't we be more in control? I then started talking about impotence. Exactly. Do you get it? We have this pitiful God that we created by reductionist spirituality that goes so far back into our sub and unconscious that we forgot that whole is reality. We forgot. And now it's time to remember. Remembering is allowing all our parts to be acceptable, loved again. It's lovingly putting our members back together. Instead of reductionists, we must become inclusionists. Why? Because everything is included in the all, in all. No exceptions. Nothing to eliminate. Ignorance and denial must be seen as a learning experience from which we can recover. I love this language. Yes, recover. We can only change the skin of our beliefs, or we can change the skin of our beliefs and cover ourselves in a tapestry of wholeness. That covering, recovery, will absolutely transform us. How does it work in the real world, you may ask? Like this. Whatever we refuse to love unconditionally will control us. The unloved will always be who is in control. Those pesky little trolls control us for the simple reason that we rejected them. We tried our best to keep them outside, but that's impossible. Why? Because everything is inside. It's all an inside job. And when we have tried to keep anything outside, our lives became out of control to give us the opportunity to see that we were creating anti-reality. We believed and behaved as if there were another reality than love. We became personifications of the Antichrist. Who is the Antichrist? The Antichrist is one who denies that God has come in the flesh to reconcile and restore all that has appeared lost. That doesn't mean one who denies that Jesus was God in the flesh, as some Christians teach, although that may be a part of it. No, it is the denial that the anointed one of God is in our flesh, right now and forevermore. Transformation. I trust you can see from the gist of what I have been writing that we make God impotent by reducing ourselves. Only as we recognize our own greatness will God assume full stature in our living experience. This is how mastery is developed. It is transformation that results from the recognition that we are part of the whole, interconnected and unconditionally loved. We are God's. Far from blasphemy, that is the only truth that will set us free. And properly understood, we overcome the ego when we grasp that reality. Why? Because we know that we are responsible not only for our own lives, but also for the effect our lives have on others. Being God's, we are love. Anything that is not loving is simply out of character with who we essentially are. The key to transforming the ego is not attacking it or denying it. The key to overcoming bad habits that make us unproductive is not reformation of behavior, but transformation of perception. Seeing is everything. Without seeing, we cannot know. And as long as we don't know who we really are, we will never stand under the absolute grace of God. And without that grace, there is no salvation. The Christians are right about this. By grace we are saved, through faith, and that is not of ourselves. It is the gift of God, ever given to be received joyfully with humility. A final and closing word about humility is this: I am that I am may seem arrogant to those who do not stand under God's grace, the practitioners of reductionist spirituality, who, in essence, castrate God. Yet to walk in the integrity of our complete self is the only true humility. It's time for the new paradigm of the most ancient truth. We are one, to transform our lives now and forevermore. Jesus prayed, Father, that they all may be one in us. Amen. Are you willing to see unity instead of division? Thank you for listening to my old article this morning. And I pray that you'll have a good day and a good weekend. I'm in a workshop this weekend, so I'm perhaps a little bit more tired than usual, because especially opening night of workshops can be quite draining, as last night seemed to be. Anyway, you're beautiful souls. Again, thank you for listening, and namaste. God bless.